Last week, I wrote an article about diversity, and in that article, I dived into how diversity is so much more than one thing which we seem to focus on. And what then comes with diversity when we create the room for it is its pair, and that is inclusion. And in its simplest form, the definition of inclusion is to include someone in something, be it a group or a list, but we're including someone. Now, when we look at the workplace, the definition of inclusion goes a bit further than that because it's about providing a workplace environment where people or an employee will feel valued, while also acknowledging their differences and how these differences can contribute to the culture of the organisation and the team they belong to, and also business outcomes. Because we all naturally want to belong. It is the first neural pathway that is created in our brain when we come into this world. We want to belong, whether it's our family, sporting groups, our work team, a church group, a service group, any of those things, we want to have that feeling of belonging. And only recently I was co-facilitating an onboarding program, and we do talk about diversity and inclusion in that program. Now, my bias came to play here because we had a room of apprentices. So some of them were people who had already been in the workforce and they were just changing their career trajectory. Others were straight out of school. This is their first role in the workplace. And my bias was actually that when we start to talk about diversity and in particular inclusion, I've got this, young generation in front of me, or just this generation in front of me, who my bias is telling me are accepting of all of the diversity and differences that we come with. It just doesn't seem to be a part of this generation that they think to exclude anyone. We include everybody. Now, how right is that? But that was my bias. And some things that I had to think about in this space is that there was a large part of this cohort that had a lot of similarities. They all grew up in the same town. They would have gone to the same schools together. Their families are involved in a certain industry. So they had a lot of similarities and a lot of things that they would have shared. However, when we dug down into who each of these people actually are, their cultural backgrounds were very diverse. And it actually was something that you would not have seen on the surface just by looking at them, to expect the cultural backgrounds that some of them had. And of course, whether we are conscious of it or not, those cultural backgrounds all play a part in the groups they belong to, the teams that they're going to go into in the workplace. They will all bring something because of that cultural background. And it made me start to think about a recruitment many years ago for a maintainer, going into an organisation, been around for a long time, old culture, lots of people who were all the same, and again, families that were all involved in this industry. And there was a certain person on the panel, the interview panel, who felt that their team, because they were recruiting for their team, for their maintenance team, they felt that the team really needed a shake-up. They were a bit stale. They needed someone to come in and really bring something new to the team. And lo and behold, someone walks into the interview, not from the area, because a lot of these people had lived in this area for a long time, not from the area, and he had a different cultural background to many of these people. He was wearing eyeliner, black nail polish, And, that said nothing about his sexual identity. It was just how he presented himself. And one person, particularly on the interview panel, said, "We have to hire him. He's going to bring something to this team." Yes, he had the skills, but he was new and fresh, and he had a different viewpoint on the world, not just the work that they were doing. And he proved to be a very valuable asset to that team. And when we talk about that inclusion, we're talking about providing that environment where everyone, can feel safe, they can contribute. We acknowledge that we're all not the same, yet we see the value in that. And I'm sort of trying to veer away from saying the word "we accept it," because there will be some who will probably never totally accept it, yet they are happy, to work with these people regardless, and they see the value in them. Because we all will still have that unconscious bias that can play out, and that is natural. We all have it, and we're not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just when we're conscious of it and know that we need to manage it so that it doesn't impact our relationships with those who we work with. Because if we're all the same, how do we continue to improve? If we all look at things in the same way, are we not limiting ourselves? We need those different viewpoints. And we've known for a long time, the research has shown for a long time, that when we have a diverse work team, there are so many benefits to the culture of the team and how they work together, and obviously then to the performance of the team and the organization. Because if we come from different backgrounds, we've got different lived experiences, we're bringing so much to that team that will only enhance it. And we use that term of psychological safety now. It's not new, it has always been there. It is that providing that environment where all of us feel included. We can share our ideas and our thoughts and even our feelings, which only enhance the culture and performance of the team, because we can learn so much from each other. So how inclusive is your team, your business, your organization? Are there still things that need to be worked on? Because it can be of such a benefit to all of you, not only within the business itself, but in all areas of our lives.